Well, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan has announced that SARS has collected 4 billion rand above its revenue target. That's of 810 billion rand set in February this year. Gordhan says the revenue collection is still 12 billion rand below its initial expectations in the 2012 budget. Reporter Tamisho Makanyela spoke to the minister earlier.
We thought that the Revenue Service would bring in 810 billion rands. They brought in 814 billion rands. And the 4 billion rand extra is extremely welcome and testimony to the hard work of the Revenue Service staff and also the wonderful compliance among South African citizens. On the other hand, if we compare this number to what we expected from February last year, for the 2012-13 financial year, it's still 12 billion under, which means that generally the economic conditions haven't been very good, but particularly we've learned that the disruptions in the mining sector have had a very negative impact on particularly corporate income tax. Not only from the mining sector as well, but other sectors that are connected in the manufacturing sector to the mining sector. And so some 6 billion odd rands is what has been lost in the process, and the overall impact on tax could be as much as 11 billion rands as a result of the disruptions in the mining sector. So one of the appeals we've made today is that all role players within this sector really need to normalize the situation, get back to normal production and exports, so that both on the fiscal side and in terms of our current account deficit, we find ourselves in a better position, because mining plays a very important part in our economy. In particular, we were very pleasantly surprised by the good performance of small and medium-sized companies and their contribution to corporate taxes as well, which is unusual compared to where we come from. And that bodes well for the economy as we go forward.
In your budget speech, you mentioned how you're going to be cracking down on corruption. You said in the next few weeks you're going to be looking at a procurement agency to look at, making sure that we don't have fraud, especially with regards to tenders. Are you able just to give us a bit of context around that as well, please?
Well, we now have a procurement officer in the form of a senior treasury official who's been put in that place. The procurement office is now being established. And already they're beginning to make an impact on certain types of procurement, and I'm sure in the next month or two we'll have a more systemic approach to changing IT systems, to getting better management information, to being able to intervene virtually on the spot if improper procurement processes are being followed on big items. We are looking at the list of what I call transversal or centralized purchases. There's any number of them, particularly in the health area. But we want to see what else can be done in order to strengthen the procurement system. But that requires collaboration ultimately, both from the business sector and the public sector.